Hello, Gareth and Drew. Welcome to What's Up Renewables. Thanks for joining us today.
Delighted to be here, Adam.
Excellent.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Got it. Well, guys, we just met recently, but very intrigued in what Clir Renewables is doing and interested in learning more. But first, I'd like to get to know you guys a little bit more. Gareth, do you want to give us a little intro?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm the CEO and co-founder here at Clir Renewables. We've got an AI platform that takes the data off wind, solar, and BESS assets all around the planet. I think we've got the largest operational codified data set on the planet. We take that data and enrich it through AI and provide AI software solutions in the market for stakeholders on wind, solar, and BESS assets.
Wow, that's impressive, and we're going to unpack that a whole lot more in this episode. But Gareth, how long have you been in this game?
In this game, I think I first started working in 2005 in a attic of a church in Glasgow, Scotland. So I worked for a consultancy there. The industry was much smaller. So if you were willing to work hard, there weren't too many experts in our industry there. So I started off there, then working out in India, China, Sri Lanka, and then came out to North America in 2009. Again, just working I was a one company man, just working for Clir Energy, who was an independent engineer firm, working for the investors, the banks, the insurers, and then left Clir in 2016 and set up Clir with Andrew here in 2017.
All right, thank you. You've been at this a long time. I think it's very interesting that you've been close to the banks and the financial side of this industry and tied to AI as well. So looking forward to learning more about that. And Drew, nice to meet you. Can you give us a little introduction?
Yeah, sure. Hey, yeah, I'm Drew. I'm the VP of Analytics and Engineering at Clir. I'm also a co-founder. Been here almost 10 years now and pretty focused on developing our product while working with our customers to ensure they're getting value out of our product and our data. Prior to Clir, I'm a mechanical engineer. I worked with Gareth at Clir Energy for a couple of years. I worked at DMV for 5 years. I was doing all kinds of analysis on wind and solar farms and working on different software products along the way. Yeah, I'm in Ontario here. Been in the industry since about 2010.
All right, Drew, nice to meet you. And you guys seem like the right team for Clir. You're bringing in industry experience and engineering and customer with financial, AI, and development. This sounds like the right team for some data performance enhancements in renewable energy.
Yeah, I mean, our backgrounds, if you like, we've really been doing the same thing since 2005 to a certain degree. Like we used to work like in different companies at the time, but trying to predict how much these assets are going to produce and where the risks are, and then really seeing how horribly wrong we got it as an industry. Right, these assets. Love being in renewables. It's amazing. Like where we are today, how cheap we can produce electricity. It's astonishing, right? But these assets generally don't do what they say on the tin. There's a lot of underperformance in the market there. So our background is doing these predictions, realizing how bad we were at our jobs, and then trying to build a platform to really explain how much these assets are going to produce. What's the uncertainty on that? What's the worst case, the best case? Where are things going to fail? And then what you can do about that. And it's the technical inputs to the financial models, and it's what we've been working on since 2005, and it's just been trying to keep pace with the kind of change in the technology as they go. So started off as consultants, and then cloud-based computing became a big thing in 2017. So when we set up Clir, we wanted our moonshot if you like, we didn't want to be working on one asset here and there. We want to be on every wind and solar and BESS asset on the planet. It was a big focus, obviously, on wind and solar back then, and wanting to take advantage of low-cost cloud-based computing to really scale our kind of background on assessing these assets and getting information at folks' fingertips on every asset.
You're right. I agree 100%. We definitely need this in this industry. And just for fun, I don't know if you wouldn't know, but I spent several years of my own career doing this by hand. So
Okay.
site optimization studies, analytics,
Nice.
and improvement optimization was something I did for several years. So I'm really impressed that you created a robot to replace me, and it's probably
To
a
assist
hell of a
you.
lot better.
That's why I would say, like, all this stuff, like, it's there to assist you and to help. That is for sure. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. Well, guys, tell me more about. So Clir are you 9, 10 years old? I missed that.
Yeah. So we started with our customers the 1st of January 2017. So we've been basically rocking and rolling since then.
Okay, and you've built this data company, and you have how many gigawatts of, I don't know, experience, if I can ask it that way.
Experience, that's a great question. I like, in terms of assets we've been deployed on, we're over, the platform's been deployed on over 350 gigawatts of assets. So we've got intelligence there, wind, solar, BESS flowing onto the platform, and that comes in different forms, right? We've been involved in the insurance industry, which is really helpful for catastrophic risks. A really great broad intelligence on where things go horribly wrong and how you can deal with that, but not very good for attritional things and looking at like just incremental improvements on the asset, like 1-2% type of items there. Then you've got the kind of really forensic deployments on the SCADA that connected into the assets, really good for, hey, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm vibrating, I'm not pointed in the right direction, I'm not tracking the sun, all those types of information coming in, but again, can be quite lack context there. So you end up with somebody's hit the pause button on a wind turbine. Is that an inspection? Is that because the nacelle's on fire? You don't have that context in that data set. But what you have in between is all the operational reports and the board packs. And I say like, so heavily involved in deploying intelligence into board meetings there. And say, when we talk about the 350 gigawatts, it's really taking that intelligence across the kind of insurance data, the reporting information, but also the SCADA, that kind of more detailed time series event data flowing in.
Gotcha. So, I mean, give me some examples, or I'm going to ask maybe in some layman's terms, when you're taking that data and applying it to a financial report. Oh, you said for insurance. So is this to understand how we should repair our catastrophic failure or insurance claimed kind of situation, and where to put our money when those bad things happen to us?
Yeah, even before, right? Is ideally what you want to know is what is my risk and what is the uncertainty on that risk. So you think about, from an equity holder's perspective, it's really about how do I optimize my financial models. You've got revenue, OPEX, and CAPEX. Revenue from a technical perspective, obviously there is just make these assets produce more energy. That's obviously a really good one. You want to point wind turbines into the wind. You want to get them pitching, yawing at the right times, and everything else. You've got similar on solar. Am I running it correctly? Is there soiling? Is there tracking well? All those points. There's the classic, when people talk about asset optimization, you'll get people lean really heavily onto the production side. But on the revenue side, it's not just that, right? It's offtake. The biggest cause of financial catastrophe on a renewable energy asset is getting the offtake wrong. So when they sign these offtakes, they commit to volume commitments of generation there. So we had an asset in Texas that was losing about $80 million in about 2 weeks because they've committed to produce at certain times. They can't produce, and then they're exposed on the market. So understanding the technical generation risk of your asset, has massive offtake exposure. Similar in Scandinavia, for example, where what happens is the ice storms can come in. They all have day ahead commitments on the production side. I'm going to produce X amount, but all the wind farms get hit at the same time with ice storm, and they've all got to go back to the power markets and buy power at this really higher rate because no one's producing at that time. So all the profit for the last year or two has been lost in this one day incident of having to go back and buy power from the markets, just selling this basically this low value commodity in the market, energy, because it's amazing how cheap it is now. But when you get exposed on these low frequency events, so just on the revenue side, you're saying, look, there's production side, there's kind of offtake point, and there's obviously a lot of life extension. Get that production running as long as possible there. And when you look at like optimizing on the OpEx side, it's like, yeah, how do I manage my risks, right? How many gearboxes are going to fail this year? What's my worst case, my best case? How do I deal with the worst case if that happens? If I own a Vestas V90 asset, I'm 12 years old, how many gearboxes are failing on V90 assets that are 14 years old right now? So bringing in that industry intelligence, you can look at, okay, what is my scenario planning there? So when things do go horribly wrong, as you say, you're prepared to deal with that. Same with NatCat's modeling on catastrophic risk we're talking about there. So we're looking at, when you talk about optimization, you look at the revenue, the OpEx, and there's lots of aspects on the OpEx, but then there's obviously CapEx as well, which I think the most expensive item on a renewable energy asset is typically your debt financing. Like how much you're paying for your debt. How do you, or your CapEx tied up in the project that you want to free up on your next project. So if you can reduce the technical uncertainty on your asset, you can free up capital to invest in more lucrative enterprises that are being tied up. So the technical assumptions, I know everyone leans into production optimization, but it's a suite of inputs on your financial model there, which is shaping the return and the value of the product on that asset there. So when we're thinking about optimizing, it's the smorgasbord of technical inputs that really impact, are you making money on that project?
When are those decisions made? I've not been in that space personally, so I always thought they were happening during development. But the way I'm hearing you talk, like this offtake situation and planning for the ice storm,
yeah,
I mean, you're already commercial, you're running. Now there's time, you have to make decisions again.
You're going to make it all the way through. As I come back to, like, it's the same questions that everyone's asking, whether in development, operations, what it is, like what's going to break and when. What's my uncertainty on that? What's my scenario planning on that? So the pre-construction phase, sure, you're going to get someone's got their Excel sheet with all their assumptions in there. They're saying this is how it's going to run, and they're going to have a series of, you want to fact check those. You've got an energy yield coming in, like Drew with when he was at DMV or Clir Energy with all these assumptions. It's how do you look at those and stress case them? Because I just emphasize, during Drew's last 100 energy yields, that because we've got hundreds of assets flowing through, thousands of assets being deployed on there. We're seeing like 8%. I don't know if that's a fair comment. They drew 8% underperformance consistently.
Yeah, it's like 10% median underperformance. Yeah. On the comment about timing, Gareth, you mentioned the Texas example, and yeah, to your point, Adam, that was the modeling was done at the pre-construction stage. But the reality didn't match the modeling. The pre-construction modeling was not accurate, so they were having a lot of challenges around certain months and times of day, exposing them to really high energy prices through their hedge. So, then our software and data are used to essentially look at it again using real data and providing essentially more accurate outputs.
Okay, that I understand. Models never match reality. I don't care who you are or where you live, right?
Yeah.
That we have to accept that as the truth in life.
Pre-construction, you got these spinning equipment 100 meters up in the air, you got a little met mass somewhere that's supposed to tell you what's going on. And similar to solar, right? You talk about, we're putting out the acceleration of technology of like how many of the new solar panels going out have got a history of running for 5 years and their degradation rate, their performance being run. And you look at the O&M models that folks put out in the market of how much they're going to spend on O&M. Everyone's trying to do it is cut corners and do it as cheaply as they can. So reality comes and slaps you in the face. on these assets for sure.
Yeah. We Gareth and I try not to be too hard on the pre-construction models. I mean, because we used to be the guys doing them. But reality, the reality is, there are a lot of problems, and you've got assets been operating for 3 years, 5 years, living with these pre-construction models, having a lot of big problems, and they essentially they need to solve these problems, which is where we come in.
And then so it's you had your pre-construction model, now you have reality. You're, I don't know, a couple years old, right? You have some operational data and some financial decisions that have been made, and you can help us understand how to, you talk about revenue and make better decisions for the offtake. That was one big piece you really touched on. Is that still possible, or are you kind of stuck with the contract that you
are to a degree, but you can buy secondary contracts. You can buy yourself out of the contract. You can go with your counterparty and work on that, depending on what your risk is there. Quite often you're dealing with lots of other assets. You might be signing an offtake with the same party somewhere else and saying, hey, I want to blend this kind of risk together on that. So you need continual, I come back to, like, ultimately these renewable energy assets are just financial instruments. In there on the point, we need to, and the technical component of that is a huge aspect of that risk. And you want to have all those assumptions, because it's not just about that asset. It's quite often, for folks who've got tens of gigawatts of assets, and if I'm a big investment fund, let's say in Japan, I've got a portfolio in North America, South America, and I'm looking at adding a portfolio in India because I'm a global investor on this. How does that risk profile and that revenue flows look like worst case, best case as you go forward across that portfolio? So when you're looking at these decisions, they're sure on an asset level it's critical as well, but like on a portfolio level for these large investment funds, it's a critical point for them to manage.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Clir Energy Services, and their highly trained, expert technical staff, leveraging decades of renewable power management experience into customized solutions for everyone to meet their energy goals and contribute to a better future for all. Clir's team of hardworking, respected experts are providing full-scope, turnkey repairs, planned and unplanned maintenance, system upgrades, fully autonomous technical crews, supplemental staffing, and customized dynamic scheduling to fit your power production needs. Contact Clir at info@altarenergyservices.com and learn more about their wide range of capabilities across multiple power technologies and platforms. Thank you. I wasn't thinking about it from the portfolio view. Yeah. That makes total sense. There's more leverage to be had. We don't have to just live with and suffer from a model that didn't quite meet reality. There are other ways to improve our portfolio altogether. Yeah. I didn't think about it that way.
And we always, it's a common, like, taking it all the way down to the site level, right? It's a common question of, like, I want to improve my asset. I've got a long-term contract. What can I do? And I'm like, well, firstly, you've got goodwill. You hope the partners you're working with are going to recognize that you being successful is good for them as well in the long term. Like, if you're a lender, you don't want to take possession of the asset. If you're an owner who's got a service provider, do you really want a distressed O&M provider who's losing money hand over fist? They're not going to do a good job for you as you go forward there. Saying that, there is, like, folks are very much looking at their financial model and not always looking at that long-term relationship piece. But you've got the second point is point of leverage, right? When you're trying to get someone to act on something outside the contract, if you're buying turbines elsewhere, you've got wider portfolio points of leverage is key. But the third point is you pay money. And I say, like, the hedge is wrong. You might have to buy yourself out of that hedge because financially it makes sense, or your offtake's wrong. You need to buy out on that. And the same on you may have something that's not in the contract, and the service providers or whatever stakeholder is on your asset doesn't want to do it. If you cut them a check, it gets their attention pretty quick. So it just comes down to cost benefit analysis on that, and having the technical assumptions and realizing how that impacts your bottom line is what's going to shape what you're prepared to do.
Boy, that's powerful. And Clir Renewables is bringing that data analytics and the report and the information so that owners can make those decisions confidently about their sites and about their portfolios. I got it. That's boy, I can think of quite a few sites out there where I've had conversations with customers about the price.
Yeah.
That they're selling for, whether it's, just say offtake, but some merchant market, some, setting the contract and the difference there. And it's a struggle for a lot of folks to know what decision to make.
For sure. And that's like I say, like we, Clir doesn't have a crystal ball. I do emphasize on that. Like I say, like we're a power. Like, you look at it in, the Ukraine war happens in Europe and power markets go through the roof. Those, people on the merchant exposed got made out like bandits, right? And made an absolute fortune on what to make there. And then you've got others who were, locked into contracts there who were secure for the long term, but didn't get that upside there when that happened in the same way. So it's a bit of a roulette, but what we can do from Clir is give folks the best information so they can have the best informed decision there, which is a lot better than what they've been relying on to date there. That's why we've been able to kind of punch above our weight as a small startup out of Vancouver, BC. We've been able to become this global enterprise. So it's been good.
Yeah, we all know there's no crystal ball.
Yeah.
And models don't match reality.
Yeah.
And when we find ourselves on the wrong road in life, we turn around and find a new road. But, I love it. You guys are bringing the science and expertise to the market to help those folks and improve their position so that, ultimately they get to continue to grow, and so do we.
That's that. We want to make try to make these renewable energy assets as valuable as possible, 100%.
Yeah. Drew, you said on average, the model to reality is about 10% off. So I've never been in the development area in my career. However, I did design the one for my own home, and I was exactly 10% off on my solar system. I designed it, I installed it, and I got to suffer from it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
System. That's good.
Yeah, it's been a long-standing problem, I'll say, in the industry. I mean, even I remember when I was coming in around 2010, people were talking about this problem. And, I think it's something that people have tried to look at over the years to some success. It's pretty widely acknowledged, but unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a big incentive to address it, for various reasons in the industry. When I talk to people about this problem, talk to wind farm owners, talk to independent engineers, talk to lenders, everyone generally acknowledges the problem. Everyone's on the same page, but there just doesn't seem to be a big incentive to really, I say incentive to fix it at the pre-construction stage. I mean, at the operational stage, you basically have no choice but to deal with reality once you get to a certain point. But, at the pre-construction stage, I mean, we'd be looking at a wind farm, say, one of our clients is thinking of buying a wind farm. We look at it, look at the pre-construction forecast, and, generally there's recognition that, these things are juiced, so to speak. I mean, coming in with high numbers, someone's trying to sell a wind farm that's not built yet based on some models that we know, and we know that it's not going to hit what it's modeled, because wind farms almost never do. Or solar is a bit of a different case, but similar problems. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough spot, I would say, and it's a perpetual problem. I mean, very regularly, several times a month, we have people coming to us and saying, "Oh, the reality is not agreeing with the pre-construction model. 15%, 14% below what was expected, and now I have to refinance, and I'm in big trouble." So I mean, we have to do what we can to help people solve these problems.
I got that. So you're helping. I mean, if it's that early in the project phase, even early, past commercial date, it's a financial play, right? How do we mitigate more risk, and we have this project? But then on older assets, older power plants, when time goes by, technology advances so that if we understand our problem, there can often be technology improvements on the market, right? To improve production. Do you find that? And
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a database of, over 100 different solutions out there to improve production of wind farms and solar farms and other assets. And, we've got validations database. We validate these things all the time. I mean, and those can help close the gap. I mean, if you're talking about a 10% reduction, I mean, that's a huge gap to close. Most of the enhancements out there now are, talking more around like 1-2%. Sometimes you can stack them up, and then there are some of them are real, and some of them have real benefits for sure. But it's a big gap to close.
it is.
I know, a lot of it's around operational practices too. Our focus is not just on, what's the shiny new optimization that some company's selling. It's about, what can you do in your operations side, your process side to make your wind farm better. And a lot of it's about just providing transparency into, what's going on at the wind farm. I mean, going back 9 years, I mean, one of the big problems that we were seeing in the industry is owners often just didn't really know what was going on at their wind farms. Depending on the wind farm, where it is, how big it is, larger assets tend to have better reporting. Smaller assets sometimes don't get as good reporting. Owners they don't know where they're losing energy. They don't necessarily know where the problem is. And I'm sure, Gareth, you could probably speak to this too.
It's big challenge.
Just one of the core problems.
The rate of deployment, right, as well, like just compounds this. I always say, like, if you're a solar tech today, you're probably going to be a VP of operations in 3 years, because it's going to be no one else. Put so many assets in the ground today, and AI is going to do a certain amount there on the point, but you're still going to need that expertise on the ground who's viewing on these assets. And we've gone from being like 100 megawatts when I started out was, a pretty big portfolio. And now it's like, okay, a gigawatt was a big portfolio. No, it's like, it's a pretty small portfolio in the global skin. No, you need to be double digit gigawatts. And we're going to see that, these assets, these platforms being brought together at the scale. Folks have just not run assets at this scale before. And AI is going to be this huge tool in there to provide resilience. So people know, like, look, if we want to manage the financial risk here, these are the things that we need to kind of scale as we go. So I was speaking with, we were just chatting before, we were speaking to a sovereign wealth fund this morning who's got, trillions of assets, like, and not just in renewables, obviously on that point, but how we're going to deploy AI so we make them resilient, dependable across the assets. How do you onboard 700 assets from your portfolio flowing into your database there, that you can strip out all the intelligence and all those ops reports coming out with every incident that's taken place, so it's codified, it's available and integrated into the corporate AI, so they've got the known issues, the optimizations that have worked or haven't worked in there. They've got the extra industry intelligence outside their portfolios, ultimately still a small part of the market that, and you can then feed it into your yield predictions, your OPEX planning, your CAPEX planning, and everything else as you go. So that kind of resilience is such a big piece, as where, like, you look at all the goals for these companies of how they want to grow, whether you're a service provider company, whether you're a bank, whether you're an investor, insurer. It's incredible how fast the industry is just growing in wind, solar, and BESS. So
yeah. You're right, and I've seen that in wind. Today you're a tech, and tomorrow, congrats, you're promoted. And yeah, and in solar, we're going to see that even more rampant. Battery as well, probably surpass wind in terms of growth in this country for 10 years. So, all right, I'm near and dear to the operational strategy improvements. Spent a lot of my career on how to do that, and did really well. Would love to talk more about it, but I got to ask, but you guys are the data company in the AI. I really don't know anything about it. I mean, what does it take to put that together? Where does the data live? How fast does the customer get it? Tell me some of that, because
sure. Like, when you think about AI, like, there's $1 trillion market going on right now with Claude and OpenAI and everything else. So, like, for us as a business in the space, we're looking at, how do we attach ourselves to that to be successful, and that you don't get your lunch eaten and everything else as you go. But the bottom line with the Clir platform there is we're looking to give value on day one, right? Someone says, I want to build Let's go about the site operations side. I've got a 100 megawatt wind farm in Texas. I want to know when you connect in, I want to know all the intelligence on known issues, on optimizations, the work, and all the things I should be paying attention to squeeze out as much that I can in the role that I sit, whether it's operations, asset management, or whatever it is there as you go. So you're trying to provide that from the get-go. From the AI, we kind of put it into 3 layers. I kind of come on to data enrichment. Like historically, as a data platform, is like plug you into my SCADA, get the CMS events, let's bring those in, bring those together, and make that visible and enriched and codified there, that we know where our lost energy is. Always say you want to go deep, wide, and forward. What happened historically? How does that benchmark in the market? And what's our forward-looking projection is what we're trying to give. The big thing that's changed, like I say, like it's changing every week right now, but the last 6 months is the ability to integrate unstructured data with the SCADA data or the structured data. What I mean by that is, when you're working on site, you might have a daily report that's coming in every day. If someone's filling out, say, hey, I worked on turbine 6 today, the gearbox's 4 was replaced, or there was a fix there. Well, you can take that unstructured data, you can strip out the event that's labeled in there and relabel your SCADA fully automated there. And you can make it super, super reliable coming in on the plans. I come back to that data layer in the first place of integrating unstructured report data, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly reports coming in, all that got context into the SCADA. So you've got that all layered together. And you can make it hyper reliable. So like the problem we always have with AI is it makes shit up, pardon my language, but it gets confused sometimes and everything else. But the nice thing on the ingestion side is you can ask the same question multiple times. I can say, how old are you? When's your birthday? When were you born? Say, do I get the same answer all the way through? And I can run it through fairly cost effectively, 6 different models. So I can use Claude, OpenAI, all the different models. So I've got 36 answers for the same question fundamentally. And if they're all saying the same things, if they're all pointing in the same direction, I've got a high degree of confidence that it's giving me the right answer. So you can use this ensemble voting system, if you like, of just saying, hey, I want a value. I want to read the availability from a site report. How does that flow in there on that point? Now, the problem with deploying, so that's great for the data extraction, but you still need the supervision, because if I work on 100 sites, I've got 100 different definitions of availabilities, of loss factors, and everything else. You still have to work with the report generators to provide those definitions in there. So where Clir's playing out is to get that layer correct in the first place of highly codified data. So that's layer 1, if you like, of just getting really well-structured data so AI can succeed. The second is then the machine learning and the physical models that you plug in on top. So I want to know when things are going to break. I want to predict things. I want to be able to take my energy yield forecast, my known issues, my known optimizations. I want to have that then predict kind of the analytics that flows off that, or the databasing. So that's the second layer on top, which we'll spend too much time, but there's obviously a lot in each of these layers. And then the third layer is then plug it into your corporate AI. So, you might have a company that's deployed Copilot or Claude, or it doesn't really matter what you've used, but you want that AI to be able to plug into that data set and those predictive models. So your corporate AI internally can take advantage of that. So if I'm on site, I want the AI to tell me, look, we saw this SCADA yesterday. So if I'm coming in on my Monday morning, I want to get my Sunday data in. The AI can read all these things that have happened. Is there anything that I need to pay attention to? Here is your work plan for the day as you go. Or if I'm at the board level, the other end of it, or I'm at the investor level, I've got my asset management report or my board pack that's flowed through probably 48 hours before a board meeting. If I'm working on a big offshore wind farm, it might be a 100-page report. I'm the investment manager. I'm not technical. I can't read these things and understand them all right away. You can take that, flow it into the AI, and look at all the technical assumptions and be in that board meeting with all this intelligence flowing into that, and having a much more informed discussion there, and be able to manage the risks and the opportunities in a much more effective way. So 3 things in the layer of data. You've got to enrich it all together. You've got the predictions that flow off that, the second layer. And the third point then is making sure that it can be used by whatever your workflow AI is internally at your company. So for Clir, it's trying to take that vertical data and predictive models and feed it into the AI that they're using in-house.
Oh my goodness. Garrett, I think what I'm so impressed by, because I want to be impressed with the data and the AI and the muscle and energy that you put there, because it sounds amazing. I've been involved with a little software development, just a little, but what I'm most impressed with is the way that you explained how it occurs, because I have been on the engineering teams for years of my career to come up with that result. And just to give one summary report to our executive for that meeting, and you walked through, and I saw it in my mind, the engineering teams that we built and worked together just to put the data together, to give the forecast of failure, to give the execution optimization plan and put it together for. I think I'm most impressed that Clir knows how it happens in the real world with the real engineers. That impressed the heck out of me. That was amazing.
If I can just highlight one thing Gareth said too, which I think is worth our platform was originally designed around processing SCADA and doing analysis, and that's great. I mean, there's a lot of value you can get from that data. It's not the whole story though. Gareth's talking about these reports coming in, and the information from the boots on the ground. The SCADA data will tell you the turbine was offline due to some status code, which you can categorize that. But what's missing is some of the context around the losses and challenges on the site. So from my perspective, one of the main areas AI's really enabled us to improve our software is around ingesting that unstructured data that's coming in from the boots on the ground, in the form of these reports and other things, and essentially structuring it and lining it up with the SCADA data and making sure the SCADA data is accurately labeled and really telling the story of what happened at the wind farm. Because once you have that good data source, once you have that sort of source of truth that tells you what's happening at the wind farm based on all available information, then you can do your reporting and analysis much easier.
Gotcha. No, I can recall on a single event, 20 to 60 hours go in if you're doing this manually to combine. Now, unstructured data, that term's new to me, but I understand it's a service report and maybe even emails, and it could be an Excel sheet, a Word document, an email. Some people use different software programs. I understand why you say unstructured versus SCADA, very structured. And that seems like a heavy lift to be able to automatically compile the input. What's Up Renewables is growing, and we're looking for new sponsors to join us. Our show connects leaders, innovators, and field professionals across the renewable industry, and our sponsors are part of that conversation. Some have seen their network expand instantly. Others have grown revenue and brand visibility through the connections they've made right here. If you want your company to reach the people driving the future of clean energy, now's the time to get involved. Contact us at media@whatsuprenewables.com to become a sponsor today. It is clear that Clir Renewables is going to be dominating in this space and helping out a lot of owners, and ultimately, all of us that agree we need more electricity and power on this planet for the humans and citizens, and that comes into optimization and ensuring that it's profitable so that everyone can move forward. What a heavy lift to get there. How long? I'm just kind of curious. How long does it take to build before you get to go to market with something? Past modeling and lab work to actual field work and giving value. What does that look like for a company like you guys?
You mean going back to 2017?
Yeah, your own development.
I'll be honest, I quickly realized it was about making sales. I don't be real on the point. I had this great ride, right? So I worked in consultancy in Scotland. They sent me all over the world. I was young, single, prepared to work hard. You were an expert in the industry within a year because the industry was going so fast. There was just nobody else. So suddenly I'm working on World Bank projects in China, being sent out to help set up the Americas operation there. And I wanted to kind of set up Clir and learn how to, basically I wanted to impact as many assets. Our grandiose mission is minimize humankind's impact on the climate, turn renewable energy data into action there. Wanted to go out and raise money to build this. Of course, everyone looks at me and goes, who the hell are you? I'm not giving you any money there. But as soon as you went in and because we spent so long in the market, we understood the pain points, we're able to go and get folks and said, look, if you build this, we will pay you money. So we would get early adopters in the space who were like, we don't have a solution for this right now. Having that validation from where we were, we went out and found some partners in the space who were like willing to cut contracts and be patient in that first year. Obviously they were pulling on our consultancy expertise in the meantime while we were building in the background, so we could get value into the company, into the customers quickly. But that was basically it. I would say is like I always look at other industries like biomedical, where you've got this 10-20 year lead time before you have a product or something in the market, and it's like it's throwing a Hail Mary, right? But I think in our space in software and AI, like the ability to rapidly turn things around and to test things, the biggest challenge is really making sure that we're solving the top pain point in the market that's there. Like folks are busy. You imagine you're a site manager, right? You've got a turbine burning down over here. You've got you've got employees who've quit over there, and I come in saying, hey, I want to sell you a software platform. It's you need to latch onto those pain points that are getting folks' attention there as you go. So I would say onto building, it's taken years. We've put $50 million of capital to get where we are in equity, debt, and grants, but like it's ongoing. Like we're not where we want to be today. We've got so much more still to do as we build forward there. And yeah, it was say if you've got great growth, the capital markets are open as you go. And say I'm really excited about where we are and where 2026 is going to go for us.
Okay. Starting with the sales from technology seems unique to me, and maybe it's just because I'm close to Palo Alto, where I hear about, fundraising for the next software solution, or kids in the garage, right? With the next, some sort of miracle code coming out. And it's always this fundraising round before anything is actually sold and developed. But you guys offered value right out the gate based on your own expertise. Yeah. In parallel to building in the background. That launch concept for, technology software is new to me. Maybe I'm just not aware.
No, I mean, like, this is how people have raised. You look at, like, I think there's a great case study with Dropbox, right? The file sharing enterprise on the point. They completely faked their demos. They had no product on the point, but they painted the vision clearly on the pain point, where they had two computers, and they said, look, I saved it here and it's appeared over here. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. Here's a wheelbarrow full of cash to go and make that happen. So when you look at the investors there on the point, they're looking for that validation point that they can buy into and go from there. And like, most investors don't know our market of like technical assumptions for renewable energy stakeholders on the point. But if you get, I spend most of my time in Wall Street, New York, and Zurich with the investment funds. When those folks start signing contracts, the venture guys will get behind that pretty quickly if your growth rate is in a good place. So
it's impressive. Drew, what'd you have?
Yeah, and I'll just say, yeah, we had the Clir app up and running pretty much in the first month of 2017. I mean, at that point it was some nice tables with really useful information in them, but pretty basic, right? Just tables, a few charts.
What they had before was things they improved in 30 days. They had a better product than what they were using in-house for sure. Yeah.
I remember some of our early clients, even in, the second month telling us, we were thinking this is pretty basic. We as in Clir were thinking this is pretty basic, but I remember getting on the calls with our clients and them saying, oh, this is great. This is awesome. We thought this would take you guys a year to build. We've been asking our service providers to build something like this for us for years, and they haven't done it. And you guys did it in a month. So You know, we were off to a quick
You
start.
came in with the expertise, right? I mean, I've heard that several times.
Knowing
We
the
had strong
pain point, I
software.
think that's the key, the key thing. And I think, like, you know, there's been bumps along the road as we've gone. I think the problem, we like say like, you want to build that learning engine as quickly as possible in the market. And I think the challenge, the bumps that we had in the market would be like, you know, we had this huge head start, which didn't maybe set us up in the right format for learning as we went forward, because we already had this competitor, and it causes problems as well. Like, we'd be going into customers and telling them how to run, and they can't crawl yet. I'm talking about hedging, structuring, and optimization. They're like, I just want to get my data in one place. Yeah. I'm like, when we're going off with this other things, you need to meet your customers where they're at, with their pain points, and definitely guilty of that. And we've tried to simplify, especially when you scale. Right, for me, going from a founder CEO to a growth CEO on that point of like, you need to hire a sales team. They're not going to come in and know every aspect about technical financial engineering on a renewable side. So you need to be focused and disciplined on what those kind of path of least resistance to kind of growth is, that they can build and scale that quickly.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's the right recipe, right? You had the humans with the expertise and time in the industry, or time in the technology as well. So you had the expertise. It's there for easy to sell, right? And easy to bet on if you're a first customer or investor. And then you go and develop from there and grow. It is the right recipe. I think it's just not what I see often in technology and software companies. So, I'm just saying kudos and recognizing what you guys put together from your own development plan. It's impressive.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. Right.
So this episode here is number 70. Is that right? Or for you?
What is it?
In this startup?
73. Yeah.
73. So kudos to you, right? 27 more to be a big party. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, I never thought I'd be doing podcasts, but also listened to my industry and friends and went, okay, we got to just put some more muscle into networking and sharing these stories and connecting these companies for the, benefit of all of us. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's a development plan I never thought I'd be looking at or writing in my life. So, but you listen to your customers, right? Yeah. And deliver what they need. And that unstructured data, like in my mind, I can see turbines with just a paper book in the tower. Yeah. Right? Not even Excel sheets in a computer somewhere. Yeah. It can be really unstructured.
Exactly. So how do you get that information in? And I mean, we haven't done the ingestion of the paper books yet, but maybe we'll get there, right? So I say it's not a big stretch. It's a photograph and in it goes. So yeah.
Oh man, I bet there's a lot of people with notebooks in their turbines that would like to hear that.
Yes, yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. So what's next for Clir Renewables?
It's a great question. I think, look, I think for us, like, we think the problems that we're solving right now, like, we're very focused on this year on growth with our equity investors, but also the off takers. We see that the off takers have many of the same issues. If I'm a large tech firm who's bringing off data on signing on PPAs with these assets, there's contractual availability guarantees in there. There's processing and monitoring performance of these contracts there. So we're pretty excited about that with the rollout of data centers and acquisition of power there. We think we've got a great solution there. But just generally, it's getting deeper across the stakeholders, the lenders, the insurers, the developers as well. So just trying to make sure that our renewable energy AI can be applied across the different stakeholders, because I say the engine behind it is answering the same questions they're all asking. It's just how do we bring it into their workflows and their buying process so we can accelerate that growth.
That's impressive. Hadn't thought about that. So you help the person on one side of the take or the movement of power, and then you go and help the other person as well.
For sure.
That's impressive. Hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that too. I mean, the projects keep getting bigger. The turbines keep getting bigger. Solar plants keep getting bigger. I mean, new technologies, new models coming out. I mean, our databases are, our database of data, known issues, challenges, benchmark, our benchmarking database. I mean, these things all just continue to grow faster and faster every day. Every time we onboard a new farm, these things are growing. So we're learning, we're learning issues with new turbine platforms that are coming out this year, and for example,
and the data sets as well is another thing. Like, obviously, like, we track all of the vessels in offshore wind. We're bringing in all the jackup barge. So how many interventions? Offshore wind's a great one because you can really benchmark how many interventions are happening at each wind turbine. But satellite imagery allows you to do the same for onshore wind. Like, if you took a photo of every wind farm globally every day, you can look at how often there is a crane that's at the site at each wind turbine there. You want to look at interventions that are taking place. Like, there's data streams out there which are just changing all the time, and in what we can bring in there as we go with drones and robotics. Like, what data sets are we seeing there as we go? So just trying to keep pace with the world, man. It's how do you stay on that cutting edge with the AI side, but also the data of what's coming in.
You guys are creative. I would have never thought. Yeah, sure, pictures and satellite imagery of sites that we aren't connected to. You can still get data points.
Yeah, 100%. We want to know how many interventions are happening at each age of life, right? So, yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. Big growth opportunities for Clir Renewables then in how to help, let's just say the planet produce more energy. Are you only in renewables?
Yeah, we're only in renewables. We've got, like I say, we've got a big climate focus as a company. Yeah. So we have wind, solar, BESS. We have some of our customers will bring on their hydro and renewable natural gas assets and stuff like this, but they're very much somebody's got 100 assets and they've got 5 biomass plants, so something like that as well, and want to take advantage of the data ingestion. For example, they can specify those KPIs, how they want it codified there. We can bring those on as well, but the main bulk of the engine is built for wind, solar, BESS across the board. So yeah, we're really excited with the rollouts in BESS. They're just as more capacity goes in the ground. Like, our company reflects the global installed base right now. So BESS is a little bit behind, but it's getting deployed like gangbusters right now. The hardest thing is the technology change. Wind is fast enough, and then solar's every asset's different, and BESS is like you've got a new chemistry on every BESS asset that gets installed. So how we think about risk, how we think about optimization is changing at a rate of knots. Very, very quickly there. So yeah, that's where just keep taking advantage of the technology, the data. We're really focused on those areas, and then it's really the stakeholders that we're going after and testing in the market with the equity holders right now, the insurers and the off takers, but the developers, lenders, and these. And it's more of us figuring out the buying mechanics about where do we fit in those use cases there as we go.
I love it. And you guys talk about interventions, but interventions per megawatt in renewables has got to be astronomically higher than non-renewables, right? The interventions of the people. And then you guys, man, taking this technology and focusing on increasing revenue and right-sizing portfolios for profitability for continued growth in renewables. I got to be honest, I've never, I'm really happy to have met you two and learn more about this. This sounds like a big need for our industry.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, it's been fun.
All right.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of opportunity for us to have an impact here.
Sure.
All right. And people can find you guys, right? LinkedIn, website, you hit conferences. We'll see you in Houston next month. Am I right?
Absolutely. We'll be there.
All right. Well, guys, man, I've enjoyed this time and learning more about Clir Renewables and what you guys are doing for our industry.
That's been great, Adam. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, great to speak.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in Houston.
See you there. Bye.
All right.